Next step is going through how to tell, or how to prove rather, that exponentials and logs are inverses of one another. So we're going to define two functions. F of x is the logarithm, g of x is the exponential, and we're going to prove that these are in fact inverses. And the best way to prove that two things are inverses is to go ahead and do a composition in both directions. So let's start with f of g of x. Okay. So f of g of x means we're literally doing f of g of x is b to the x power. So that means in the log base b of x, we're replacing the x with b to the x. So now we have that this is log base b of b to the x power. Okay. Now, that might not seem like it means much of anything, but now let's pretend this is just y equals. Okay. Now let's take this and rewrite in exponential form. So if I do that, this base to this power, b to the y power, must be equal to the inside expression, b to the x. And because of the property of equality that we had for exponentials, since these bases are equal, y must be equal to x. And that's our identity line. So we've actually just shown that this composition works out to x. So that works. But in order for two things to be inverses of one another, the compositions have to work both ways. So now we also need to do, well, what is g of f of x? Okay. So we're doing g of f of x is log base b of x. Okay. So that means now I'm putting the logarithm in place of the x in the exponential. So this is now equal to b to the log base b of x. Okay. So we're going to use the same trick. We're going to replace like this notation and say, well, let's say this is equal to y. All right. Now this is an exponential right now. We have a base to a power is equal to a number, y. So now we want to go ahead and rewrite this in logarithmic form. So this is going to be log, the base is this b right here, of the answer, y, has to equal the exponent. Remember, this whole thing right here is the exponent. All right, and we haven't talked about the property of equality for logarithms yet, but I bet you can figure that if you have log base b of one thing equal log base b of another thing, those two inside pieces must be equal to each other for this statement to be true. So once again, we have shown that we get the identity function y equals x. So this is how I could prove using compositions that these are in fact inverse functions.